Over the past couple of months, we've looked at a couple of really nice portable monitors on this channel. One that is just a nice portable monitor, one that actually has a touch screen built in. Today we're looking at another option. This is the Innocn portable 13.3-inch OLED monitor, and I think that is what is going to really set this monitor apart, guys. It is an OLED panel. As we look here at the Amazon listing, you can see it can be had right now for $149. Now that is on sale, 40% off. $249 is the regular price. But like I said, OLED on a portable 1080p monitor might be a pretty big game changer for a lot of people. So for $149, what do you get in the box? Well, the first thing you're going to see is this sheet of paper here, which is meant to tell you exactly how color accurate this monitor is going to be. Potentially really good for photo editing and video editing. You also get an HDMI to mini HDMI cable, a USB-C to C cable in order to plug different devices into this thing for a display. Now, this is an interesting piece here. This is the kickstand, which actually magnetically attaches to the back of the device. Now, if you flip this thing over, you may miss a couple more important things, like another USB-C to C cable. This one probably meant for power supply, and then of course the power supply itself. This is a simple USB-C charging brick. Now, this is the actual screen, the monitor, the Innocn monitor itself, and the first thing I noticed was how incredibly thin this thing is. It is much thinner than the other monitors that I've reviewed on this channel. You can see the kickstand here locking into place to keep the thing upright. More on that kickstand later. A couple of buttons on the side, speakers on either side, as well as an array of ports to plug in whatever accessory that you'd like to plug in. You can plug something in USB-C to C, like a Steam Deck, maybe a Nintendo Switch, or just use the mini HDMI to HDMI port to plug in anything you want at that point. If it uses an HDMI cable, you could plug it into this monitor. So what do you get out of an OLED monitor? Well, first off, I can just tell you that in person, these colors are extremely rich and vibrant. The contrast that we're seeing is really nice. It's hard to get it on film because the screen is actually glossy and quite reflective. But I think you can see here as it fades out how dark that black is. And if we move over to another monitor that is not OLED, that is a simple LCD, you can see how much darker and richer that contrast is from one monitor to the other. That is an absolutely incredible difference between these two. Had to reset the quality there. This was dropping down for some reason, but I think you can see here. Let's do a quick back and forth comparison once again. As you can see, the detail and the contrast there versus the detail and the contrast here. I mean, obviously, these are just night and day. There's no real comparison between the two, and that's what you get with OLED, guys. This thing looks really, really good. Look how nice that looks, guys. This is not a bad looking monitor, but that OLED, when in person, it just absolutely pops. Honestly, for a lot of people, if you want to see firsthand the benefit of an OLED screen, the best thing you can do is maybe reach into your pocket, because a lot of modern flagship phones are now, of course, using OLED screens instead of the LCD screens of years gone by. So check online. Maybe your phone has an OLED screen. Take a look at that thing and then imagine what that would look like if it was 13.3 inches. If we take a look here at this graphic on their Amazon listing, I think this might go a long ways towards conveying how color accurate this thing is actually supposed to be. So we have 100% of the DCI-P3 color gamut. That's a great thing to have, in particular if you're using this thing for photo editing, things like that. Delta E of less than 2 is also a really good sign. 10-bit color, 1 millisecond response time. What is that? 100,000 to 1 contrast ratio. And 400 nits is more than adequate for me as well. Again, I can't like test this stuff. I don't have the tools to verify their numbers here, but what I will say is that in person, it does look really quite strong. Now, there are stereo speakers on this thing. I'm going to give you a quick second here to hear what they sound like. And that is actually full maximum volume. So like a lot of these portable monitors, not the best sound coming out of them, but there are speakers there if that is a deal breaker for you. In this instance, this is coming out of my Steam Deck running Windows, and I would probably continue using the Steam Deck speakers as they are a bit louder and do sound a bit better. Even as I'm loading into Sons of the Forest here on my Steam Deck, I can't quite capture this with my phone, how much this red is just fiery popping red. The blue here up at the top and the thing that's displaying the performance also just super crisp and vibrant when compared to the Steam Deck screen or these other monitors that I've been using. All right, so we've loaded into the game here, and obviously my settings are a little bit low to just, be playable on the Steam Deck, but let me just tell you guys, this looks really, really good. Like, the shadows and everything are absolutely, they're so much better than they look on the Steam Deck screen or on this other portable monitor that I have. I'm really disappointed that I don't think it's possible to like fully articulate to you guys how good this actually does look. A little bit of lag there. That's not the monitor's fault though. That's the fault of the Steam Deck trying to play a game that it probably has no business playing. Here's another thought though. There's an OLED Nintendo Switch, right? That thing's pretty expensive though. Maybe you want to try out, the OLED experience on the Switch that you've already got. Let's plug my wife's Switch in and see what that looks like. Good opportunity here to talk about the buttons on the side, which do control the volume in this instance. Let's turn that down. We are stuck in Animal Crossing because I don't want to get my wife mad at me by leaving the day that she has started. But I can just tell you guys, this is the best I've ever seen Animal Crossing look. This looks so good. Almost as good as my wife's Animal Crossing Island. She's done a great job decorating this place. I've never seen this pig person before. Oh my goodness gracious. And of course this is pretty much plug and play, guys. Like, let me hold up the Switch here. I've taken the Joy-Cons off and all I've done is just plug it in and you're off and running. Plug it in to the side, plug in a power supply into the side, which is what we have here, power and then the Switch. And like I said, you are off and running. So when this thing is in the powered on state, if you hit the power button up top, it brings up this menu down here that you can then use your volume keys to cycle through, and it's your pretty standard array of settings like color profile, different modes like a game mode, things like that. Pretty basic stuff, but that is how you do get into that. I do also want to point out that while this monitor does look pretty nice and crisp, it is not the most pixel dense display that I have ever seen, and I can demonstrate this by zooming in. Obviously, this is fairly exaggerated, but the pixels do become visible if you get really, really close. That being said, you're sitting, a foot or two away from this monitor, you're not going to notice that at all. I did just think it was worth pointing it out, though. If you're expecting this thing to look like your Samsung S23 Ultra screen in terms of pixel density, that's just not going to happen for this price at this size. I would say that my biggest problem with this monitor actually comes from its kickstand mechanism. Let's flip this over because you can see here where it's supposed to mount there right in the middle, and that does work okay. I should also mention it's got this kind of bronze color to it, which is actually really nice on the eyes. Here's our kickstand, and you can see that it attaches on there and holds relatively well, but the problem I have is that when you sit it up like this, I keep instinctively wanting to kind of push it down to change the angle, and when you do that, it just disconnects. It's just not on there strong enough. You have to reach around the back and make the adjustment this way, and be very careful not to just pull the thing off, because it takes about the same amount of pressure to wrench it off as it does to actually adjust the angle. It's a very similar amount of pressure, so definitely be aware of that. Although one advantage of this though, I wonder if you're able to actually stand it up vertically. You absolutely are. So it does have its advantages. Set it up how you want it to sit, and then don't really mess with it because it's not all that sturdy, but it is flexible enough to let you do a couple of different things with it. So while we're talking about that kickstand, another way that this monitor is different from some of the other monitors that I've recently reviewed is that it doesn't come with any kind of carrying case or way to kind of move it around in a safe way. Some of the other ones, the other two that I've reviewed, do in fact come with a carrying case like this. The monitor is in here, in fact, and you can pop it open and slide the monitor out so it's nice and safe and protected. And then when you're done, this carrying case is magnetic. It folds up in such a way that it becomes the kickstand. So it's not just a kickstand, it's the kickstand, and it is a way to keep the thing safe as you are traveling with it. It's a portable monitor, right? So that's kind of an important thing. This one from Innocn does not have a way to really keep it safe as you're moving around with it. One further thing to note is that while this thing is fully capable of passing through power, which is to say this thing's plugged into your power brick and then it's plugged into your Steam Deck or your phone or something like that, it appears that it's only charging or passing through that charge to your secondary device at a rate of about 15 watts. So something like the Steam Deck, it's been holding steady at 83% now for several minutes. And all I'm doing here is obviously driving a second monitor and watching a YouTube video. So if you're playing a game, that's likely to discharge very, very slowly. With my S23 Ultra, it was charging. I think it went from about 30% to about 50% in, I don't know, maybe 40 minutes or so, something like that. That might not be totally accurate, but it was, again, 15 watts. I have a USB-C cable that has the output on a little screen on the cable itself. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. If you end up using it like I am going to with something like this JSOX dock, then that power constraint will not be a problem. As you can see, it's charging just fine, because in this instance, what's charging the Steam Deck is actually going through the dock, not through the monitor, not being bottlenecked in that way. Overall, the build quality is quite nice. It is very thin, very light. The picture quality is a step above the other monitors that I have reviewed. It is a little bit smaller, right? It's only 13.3 inches. Like I said, the kickstand is a bit flimsy, and I wish that it had a carrying case. But if you're catching it right now, when it's $149, that's a pretty solid deal for an OLED portable monitor. It honestly would even make sense as just like another monitor for your computer. Maybe you don't have a lot of desk space. You could set that thing up vertically or something like that on your desk someplace. It doesn't have a large footprint on the actual table itself, so it'd be pretty easy to fit in someplace. Personally, I do think that the best use case for it is in conjunction with a Steam Deck, a Nintendo Switch, something like that, because it's thin, it's light, it's easy to move around. It makes a lot of sense for these portable consoles that can display out into a really nice OLED monitor that takes your portable gaming experience to a new level. That's a really, really cool thing to be able to do. It looks fantastic. Big shout out to Innocn for sending this monitor over for me to review. If you want to purchase it, there will be an Amazon affiliate link in the description down below that will help support the channel. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.